Hey guys, so this is a video to discuss our last two congruence theorems, angle, side angle, and angle, angle, side. So by the end of this video, you're going to be able to prove triangles congruent using any of the four. So we already know side, 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 and side, angle, side. Now we're going to practice that with our two other theorems. So first thing we need to do is write down the definitions of these. Okay. Angle, side, angle is like the complement of side, angle, side, only with angles. So we call this angle, side, angle. Okay. So the definition of this is if two angles and the side included between them is congruent to two angles and the side included in another triangle then the two triangles are congruent. So it's exactly like the side angle side definition, only with angles. Really, the picture, if we draw two triangles, what we say is it's this angle and that angle. Okay, it could be any two. Okay, it could be this side and that side. As long as this angle matches up with that one, this one matches up with that one. And then it's the side included between them, which means it would be the side in between. Okay? So I'll label these A, B, C, X, Y, Z. So how do you solve it? All I state is triangle ABC is congruent to triangle YXZ by angle, side, angle. Okay? Now, angle, angle, side is almost like this, only it doesn't use the included side. So, if any two angles and a side are congruent to two angles and a side in another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. Now, they do have to be in the same order in both triangles, okay? So we can't have them not look the same. So, if I mark this angle and this angle, okay? I mark this angle and this angle, okay? In this triangle, I'll mark that side. Well, in reality, I can't mark this side over here because it has to connect to that one arc. Okay, so it would be this side right there. Okay, so they do have to match up. So to solve this, again, I just use the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and I would say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle. Ooh, A doesn't have a mark, so I'm going to start with F, D, E, by angle, angle, side, because they match up with each other. So a lot of this is just getting the correct order and making sure that you have all the sides marked. So to get a little practice with this, I gave you two things in the congruence theorem. So these two triangles are congruent. We're going to start by saying that. And we know they're congruent by angle, side, angle. So you have to fill in the extra information. Well, I've already filled in an angle, and these two tick marks are the side. Now, what other angle do I need? Because I need an angle, a side, and another angle. Well, for angle, side, angle, the side has to be between the two angles. So it would have to be this angle C over here. Well, C would match up with F here. So you see how now adding those two marks in, angle, side, angle, that side's in between. So I would say angle C has to be congruent to angle F. While over here, I'm using angle, angle, side congruence there. So again, I start off with an angle marked and a side. So the difference between the side is in between, the side is not in between. So I wouldn't choose E or B because then the side would be between them. I would again choose angle C and angle F. Angle, angle, side. So again, angle C would have to be congruent to angle F. And it's the same thing with other congruence theorems. Okay? Side, side, side. Well, I'm starting off with two sides marked, and I need the third one. So it has to be CB or EF. So CB would have to be congruent to EF. Here, again, side, angle, side. Where do I want that angle? I want it in between those two sides. So in between these two sides would be angle A and angle D. So angle A would have to be congruent to angle D. And it's very important that we notice the order. Order matters wicked when proving triangles. So now we get into, okay, proving stuff. Okay? And again, every time we're trying to prove stuff, we got to start off by marking what we know. Well, some things are already marked. If I know this is 90 degrees, I know this other side is 90 degrees. So I have two angles. So now I just have to find a side somewhere. Well, this WY is shared. So again, mark that congruent. Now I know that these two triangles are congruent. How do I know that? Angle, angle, side. So I would say triangle WYX is congruent to triangle WYZ by angle, angle, side. Because that side is not in between those two angles. And it might look like they're the same, but I can't mark them. Okay. The next thing here for 6, again, brings back the previous unit. Parallel. Parallel. If I know parallel, I know some alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, that sort of thing, are congruent. How I remember it, and how a lot of my students remember it, is a Z. You guys see the Z formed by the parallel lines? Every time you see a Z formed by the parallel lines, I'm going to have some alternate interior angles. And the alternate interior angles are in the corners. So I can mark those congruent. I already have those sides congruent. And now I can mark that shared side, because that's always congruent to itself. Now I see that I have a side, an angle, and then another side. So triangle ACR is congruent to triangle DRC by side, angle, side. So now this worksheet is not just on angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. It's on all the theorems. For 7, you'll notice that 2 sides are congruent in each, 2 pairs. And remember, whenever you see that X, I have some vertical angles there. So I can mark this angle and this angle. Well, are these congruent? Does this fall into any of my theorems? I have 2 sides and an angle. So the only theorem that I can use is side, angle, side. That angle is not in between those 2 sides, so these are not congruent. Or I can't tell. That's the biggest thing, is I can't tell. They may look it, but I can't tell. So for the next ones, again, you're just trying to prove things congruent, but you have to fill in the diagram. And this is a lot of that vocab stuff. It's a lot of those diagram stuff. So I know these triangles are congruent because I told you right up here. Okay, so now I'm trying to prove it using side, angle, side. But I'm using this. Okay, so it says DE is congruent to MN. I'm going to put a little tick mark. And then I notice that they say angle M is congruent to angle D. So what other information do I need for side, angle, side? Well, I have a side, I have an angle, now I need the other side. The other side would be the side here, DF, because that angle has to be in between those 2 sides. And that side, MO, for them to be congruent. So that means that's side, angle, side. Okay? Now I erase this stuff and I move on to 2. Okay, it's using the same diagram over and over. Now they want to use angle, angle, side. So they give me FE is congruent to ON, and angle F is congruent to angle O. Now I need another angle, 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 side. So now do I want this angle, N, or do I want angle M? Well, this side is outside the 2 angles. It's not in between. So I don't want angle N, I want angle M, and I want angle D. So to answer this question, I would say I would need angle D congruent to angle M for angle, angle, side. For number 3, this is where I'm using angle, side, angle. So they give me DF is congruent to MO, and angle F is congruent to angle O. Now I need the other angle, and that side is in between those 2 angles. So the other angle has to be angle D and angle M. So that side is in between those 2 angles. So I would need angle D is congruent to angle M. And it all depends on the order. That's the biggest thing, is the order that you do. So it's the same process for these next 3. Just make sure that you label the diagram and you use in pencil, and then you erase as you go. These next ones, again, are just practicing. Can you prove these triangles congruent? So, again, you mark a shared side. Boom. Now I know triangle WLF is congruent to triangle WLY by angle, side, angle. Here, for 8, again I have that cross. So you want to mark those congruent. So now I know angle, angle, side. I know 2 angles and a side. So triangle TNS is congruent to triangle UHS by angle, angle, side. For this one, again, if I know 90, I know this is 90. Okay, so I have an angle, and a side. Angle, angle, and a side. So I know triangle KHN is congruent to triangle GLN by angle, angle, side. So make sure you label the diagram of what you know and mark any shared sides. Please try these next three and then check with me and check answers. Okay, so that concludes this video. I hope that helped you prove that triangles are congruent.